Hey, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be doing a puzzle that I've wanted to make for the longest time. It's a hexagonal prism, and it's a really interesting modification. I've already basically done 2 modifications in the past, which have taught me everything I need to know about this puzzle. So I'm just going to jump straight into it. I started by tightening up the puzzle so that it wouldn't turn while I was cutting it on the bandsaw. And after I was happy with how tight it was, I took it over to my bandsaw and I set the table on it to 45 degrees. What I'm going to be starting off by doing is basically making an enclosed cube. I actually made this puzzle in a previous video in this series, and if you've already seen it, you've pretty much seen the entire process right here. I cut off 6 edges all the way around a band in the center of the puzzle, and I was pretty happy with how that looked, so I took the puzzle back over to my bandsaw and then I cut off all of the corners, similar to making a half truncated cube or a 3x3 anti-prism. And you can see here how the puzzle relates to a half truncated cube and an enclosed cube, so it's pretty interesting to see that. I got some epoxy sculpt out and I mixed it up and prepared it to fill all of the pieces. There really isn't much to explain here. I left the puzzle assembled and I just stuffed epoxy sculpt into everything so that I could sand the puzzle down as much as I liked. After all of the epoxy sculpt had cured, I took the puzzle over to my belt sander and I sanded all the faces until they were nice and flat. I haven't explained this in the past, but I like to sand the puzzle in short pulses on the belt sander, because I find that it prevents the belt from heating up or clogging up, and I just prefer to go much slower with something like that. And you can see here the finish is just fine, so I must be doing something right. And you can see here the hexagonal cross-section of the puzzle, which gives you a fair idea of what it's going to look like. And I took the opportunity while I had it to remove all of the stickers that were still on the puzzle. This is more important later on when it comes to roughening up all of the faces. So I used a nail file, which I'm very commonly using on my puzzles. I really like using a nail file, and I highly recommend using them instead of sandpaper. As you can see here, they give a fantastic finish that's roughened up all of those smooth surfaces. So now it was time to disassemble the puzzle, and then I was going to extend all of the pieces. After the puzzle was disassembled, I split all the pieces up into those that had already been modified and those that I had to extend. Back at it with the epoxy sculpt, I got some out, mixed it up, and then I pressed it onto all of those surfaces, building them out to a point. And I actually ended up having to sand a lot of that material away because I wasn't too certain on the geometry of the puzzle. But I rounded off all of the extensions so that I could reassemble the puzzle, and then I sanded all of those pieces that were sticking out on the belt sander. And after I was done on the belt sander, I was really happy with how the shape had turned out. It was very uniform, and there were no pieces that were higher or lower than the others. I just really liked the overall look of it, so it was time to disassemble the puzzle because I was going to round off all of the pieces by knocking off all of the sharp edges with a nail file. I used some Scotch-Brite for a little extra rounding on all of the edges. I think it makes the puzzle pieces look fantastic. After all the pieces had been rounded, I reassembled the puzzle and I was very happy with the final result. This is the last puzzle in this series and I think it's one of the best ones that I've ever made. If you're going to give this puzzle a try for yourself, then I recommend using a cheese sail just because I found this puzzle was a lot more forgiving than some previous 3x3s that I've used. But anyways, it's time to paint this puzzle and sticker it up. Ta-da! There it is! It is complete! The final puzzle in this 30-day, 30 builds series. I made a video every single day on a completely different puzzle for an entire month. And I am so glad that it is over, although I'm sure you guys probably enjoyed this series because I know so many people have been telling me that they're going to be sad when the series is over. Well, I'm sorry! I put 30 videos out and now I can't wait to go to sleep for an entire week. Just about everything that could have gone wrong in this series went wrong in this series. My external monitor crapped out, some of the epoxy sculpt that I was relying on being set didn't set because of the cold temperatures. My microphone broke somewhere around the 4th or 5th video and I had to go in and get it repaired. And it was just a nightmare of a series, but I'm surprised and glad that I managed to finish it all. It was a challenge to me to make this series, but it was also a goal of mine to get people involved in building puzzles, and I've actually seen a lot of new people start doing this. There are some new channels that have started right here on YouTube because of this series. It's really amazing to see that. I've got a lot of emails from people that have been trying puzzles for themselves, a lot of personal messages on all my different forms of social media. It's amazing to see so many people trying this. My channel has grown by 10,000 subscribers in this 1 month, just because I've been doing this daily video series, and I can't thank you guys enough for getting involved with what it is that I'm doing. It's so much fun, and I'm so glad to see so many more people trying it out for themselves. You do have to spend a little money sometimes. I know, it's kind of annoying, but there isn't a hobby out there that you don't have to spend some money on. But I tried to ignore that with some of the puzzles that I made. I did make some really cool no epoxy modifications that don't require any filler material at all. All you really need is a saw, or maybe even just stickers in the case of my last video. But anyways, I really hope you guys enjoyed this series. I hope you guys learned a few things. I know I learned a lot of stuff about both video making and puzzle making, so I'm going to try some more daring modifications later on, and I'm going to be able to make some much more engaging videos for you guys. I've actually had a lot of music artists contact me asking me to use their music, and they make some fantastic stuff, and it's really, really cool to see that. I do like to use a lot of really interesting music in my videos, and I'm glad that you guys love all of the stuff that I do. I'm really happy that this series all worked out. It was a total experiment, and I wasn't expecting to finish it off. I also want to thank speedcube.com.au for sponsoring this series. They gave me all of the Chi sales that I used to make all of the puzzles in this series. They're also the same guys that sponsor Felix Zendegs, I might add, so I'm really grateful for their help. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys like this puzzle, and I'll see y'all next time.